big trouble. And this has been brewing for quite a while, but this weekend the Fed held an emergency, unannounced meeting and dropped an absolute bombshell on the financial markets. Now, before I get into the details of this meeting, I need to walk you through the timeline so that you understand why the meeting is important. It won't make a lot of sense if you don't know where we're at in the banking sector. In 2023, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank all went out of business. This is where the second, third, and fourth largest banks to ever go under in United States history, and no one cared. We swept it under the rug like it wasn't even there. It was a big deal that no one paid attention to. Then, in 2024, New York Community Bank reported a loss and their stock plummeted and they had to be bailed out and renamed to stay open. After that, in 2025, Tricolor Holdings, one of the largest auto lenders in the world, went bankrupt with 1 to 10 billion assets on their sheet, mostly held by JP Morgan and Fifth Third banks. And this is all just the tip of the iceberg. The Fed has now quietly admitted that we are in a worse financial position in banking than we were in 2007, right before the Great Financial Crisis. This is because in the Great Financial Crisis, housing was the main driver of the crash. It was one factor. But right now, on banking's debt sheets, you have credit card debt that is failing at the highest rate in history. You have auto loans failing at an incredible rate, hence Tricolor going out of business. You have commercial real estate that is absolutely getting crushed because Amazon and COVID put so many people out of business. There are empty buildings everywhere in every city, and banks have all of these loans and coming due that they can't pay on their balance sheet. This doesn't even touch into shadow lending, which has $5 trillion of assets, is completely non-transparent, and is held by 25 of the biggest banks in America. These are problems in the banking industry, and they are coming to a head now. Now, that brings us up to our meeting. The Fed held an emergency meeting this weekend because after the Great Financial Crisis, a standing repo facility was created, and this is an emergency fund for banks to borrow from. When banks need to borrow cash overnight to keep operations moving the next day, they borrow from this fund. Now, they do use it from time to time, and in 2021, it was used very, very strongly, and in 2022, we saw what happened to the market. Now, we have seen $50 billion in October come from that fund. It's the highest since 2021, and it was immediately followed by $20 billion more coming out of that fund. If you combine that with the QT of the Fed and the hoarding that bigger banks are doing of cash, you have a liquidity crisis, and that means that banks can't borrow anymore or get the money they need to stay open. This is going to come to a head very quickly. Now, let me caution you about...
Shalom. First off, I want to start up by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakadash. That's all praises to the world cause God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. Well, Hashem meaning in the name, Yahushai being the name of the only begotten Son. Also want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Taz about the Great Millstone, Arizona Camp, Lord Will, with another video to edify. And you just heard it. And basically everything's coming in where usury is the issue. Usury is basically going to interest, right? These small hats that own the entire banking industry, the whole lending markets, even insurance, the way they insure between banks, that shit in itself should be illegal. One bank will insure another one that if this bank collapses, this bank will cover it. But then that one bank will do the same deal with like 15 different other banks. So what if two of those banks have the same problem? They don't have enough money to actually liquidate to cover that one bank and buy out all their accounts. This thing is just all usury left and right, and now the system is collapsing. Let me get this. This is because the scriptures talk about that debt. This is Habakkuk 2:6. It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his, meaning destruction to those that increase in things that are not theirs. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay." And when you go to that word, Hebrew word for thick clay, right? It's the word abatya. I bot yacht. And it means what? Weight of pledges, heavy debts. And that's exactly what's been going on globally. It's just debt cycling everywhere. How does the whole world, if the whole world is in debt? Well, you know what? Let me look that up, man. Global debt, right? The global debt is the total amount of money owed by governments, businesses, and households worldwide. In quarter one of 2024, it reached a record high of $315 trillion. If the entire world is in debt, who's that debt to? Who's waiting to get paid? And when you really go down into it, the entire world is in debt to like 6 people. It's really majority of it is actually to like 4 families. The entire world's debt. So if debt is consolidated and owed to just a couple people in that fashion, right? This is a concerted effort to put everybody in a form of captivity. A form of captivity is debt slavery. So when the scriptures talk about that ibadyat, or that thick clay, that heavy pledges, you see it happening. And now everybody's struggling. Nobody knows how to get by. It's just all out hell on every side. Well, this is Isaiah 24 and 1. It says, "Behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattered abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury." And that word usury goes into what? Interest. So with the giver of usury, right? The giver of interest, the ones that do take the loans and the ones that give the loans out with usury. The land shall be utterly emptied, utterly spoiled, and utterly spoiled. Yahweh has spoken this word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. In America, all these Edomite Western societies, these are the places that you have to use debt to get anything. You go into other societies throughout the world, there's no you're taking out a loan to get something. No, you got to have the cash up front. There's no heavy ass interest on everything you do. But because all the world is under this interest, now you have situations where people can't even afford to live. This is article I got. 1 second. Article 1. It says nearly half of all U.S. states sliding into recession. It says nearly half of the United States are sliding into recession as the national economy tries desperately to stay afloat. That's a stark warning for Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, one of the world's most watched independent economic firms. His grim assessment comes after major corporations slashed more than 150,000 jobs last month, in 1 month. And they said that is the biggest amount of layoffs in 20 decades in 1 month. The biggest October total in more than 2 decades. It says sticky inflation, dwindling home construction, layoffs at factories, flatlining wages also contributed to the bleak picture. This state level picture mirrors the national trend. Zandi wrote in a LinkedIn post, "The U.S. economy is not is not in recession, but is struggling to avoid one. And really, this thing is already starting to shrink, right? It's another one. Mom and pop shops face threat for survival. God damn, these fucking drop down ads and shit. It says surging import costs, mounting payroll and healthcare expenses, a shortage of affordable loans, and a stressed out workforce. Small businesses are facing mounting pressure from America's affordability crisis. Doug Scheffel, owner of the family-run ETM Manufacturing in Massachusetts, laid off about a quarter of his employees in April as the Trump administration haphazard tariff rollout dented demand for the machine parts and sheet metal his company sells. Everyone is hunkering down and building up cash. It's never been this bad, Sheffield told CNN in a phone interview. It's very uncertain and impossible to plan in this environment. Let me get it. This is Ecclesiastes 12. Because it said it's very hard to plan in this environment, right? Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. For while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in a day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. And the keeper of the house is talking about those in those economic positions, right? In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves. Who are the strong men? Your business owners, right? These people that are on Wall Street looking at these numbers daily, they're trembling. And the grinders cease, right? Because they are few. What is happening to the work market? It's starting to cease. It says, and those that look at the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the street. You got mom and pop stores closing, right? And it says, and the door shall be shut in the street when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, right? This was what's happening. We go to another article. Home Depot sounds the alarm regarding the latest sale. Oh my gosh, these fucking drop down ads, man. Home Depot sounds the alarm regarding the latest sales update that points to recession. The Home Depot is a whistleblower for the U.S. economy and housing market. Its latest quarter isn't sparking much confidence. On Tuesday morning, the home improvement chain said it served fewer customers in the past 3 months than expected. That's a quarter of business. That's like a quarterly report. We're in quarter 4 right now, right? So they're talking about quarter 3. If quarter 3's performance is this, right? And then you got Trump in the presidency refusing to release unemployment numbers because the government was shut down, and they're saying, oh, that could affect the truth of the numbers. No, the numbers are terrible. Right? Its earnings come as Wall Street hits a concerning stretch of losses. In the past week, all 3 major stock indexes are in the red as investors' confidence in AI begins to slide. Traders told that Daily Mail they're looking to consumer brands like the Home Depot to see if there is also a weakness in spending. Right? That languishing is hitting, the grinding is ceasing. Scriptures say there's going to be no work. This is where is it at? Where is it at? Salakia. I'm kind of floating in the spirit, so yeah, here it is. Isaiah 19 and 14. It says, "I have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to earn every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his own vomit." This place is not prospering in anything it's putting its hand to. Any of the policies that come out, any of the attempts, all of this stuff is failing. It says, verse 15, "Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which head or tail, branch or rush may do." Meaning what? You think you're in a good position, head or tail? Even these people that got these careers in programming, that was supposed to be a job where people got into that. They started making hella money. Cybersecurity, another one of them. All these supposed brand new jobs that came into the market that were supposed to be great. These people are losing their jobs to AI. Right? You can even there was a video a little while ago where a law firm, or it might not have been a law firm, but it was some firm that had lawyers and tax specialists, and it had a tax specialist sit here and talk to the AI, and the AI told him, "I don't see why we need you. I can do whatever you do better and faster." And the dude asked him, "Okay, so tell me how you would sit here and avoid taxes for this, or how would you reduce company payments on taxes to increase profit?" It told him exactly what to do in real time, super quick. And dude had no response. And he was like, "Well, shit, you might not need me." These people are losing their job. You got doctors losing their jobs to AI now. China has their own hospitals. They have the first hospital in the world, has a 98, or I think it's a 98 or 97% accuracy in diagnosing. And they're all doing AI, no doctors. So doctors aren't going to have jobs either. Right? So when it says, "Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which head or tail, branch or rush may do," it don't matter if you're at the top or the bottom. The jobs are about to be canceled out. "In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid for fear because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over it." Because when these people can't eat, they can't feed themselves, it's about to get drastic out here. As this financial system collapses, as America goes in that fashion, it's not going to be no fucking cakewalk to live. It's going to be hard. Here's another one. Alarming ring in housing sector. Oh my gosh, this fucking drop downs. It says, "Alarming ring in housing sector as half of all U.S. homes fall in value. Largest drop since the Great Recession. Home values are falling for more than half of America, the biggest share since the country was still clawing its way out of the Great Recession. New data from Zillow shows that 53% of U.S. homes have lost value over the past year, the highest level since 2012, when the housing crash finally hit bottom. The national market looks flat on paper, but the average mass huge differences between regions, cities, and even neighborhoods. Prices have been slipping in much of the South and the West as more homes hit the market and buyers stay on the sidelines. You see, because nobody can afford the interest rates. Nobody can afford these houses at these prices. It's supply with no demand. Because this was a coordinated attack for people to not to have these things. Remember the WIF, right? Spell it out. Right? W to the E to the F. Their whole thing was you will own nothing and you'll be happy. If the home ownership is not part of the plan for this new system, right? But they've used interest and debt to build this, right? How does that word go again? They've used interest and debt to build this type of system, and it's all backfiring. This is where is it at? There's one in here. Yeah, this is Proverbs 28:8. It says, "He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor." You see, all this usury, all this putting people in debt slavery. Now people walk around stressed the hell out, not knowing how they're going to sit here and pay this, pay that, get by, and keep going to work knowing damn well it'll never work out to be able to hold on to what they have. And they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, as they say. Right? I remember when I was a kid, the going thing for the black woman was to what? They write a check here. They would basically schedule coordinated bounce checks so that by the time this check gets there, it bounced. They get paid again so that they can use that next paycheck to pay for that, make it seem like they have put a check in, get a grace period, all that. Bro, this is what they've been doing with the financial system globally. They've been shuffling around debts that and the cold part about it is they've been using the same shadow companies where they make it look like, oh, there's a merger here. This company sold to this company sold to that one, to make it seem as though the financial system is creating jobs and people are making deals. But really, they're literally throwing around the same companies back and forth and ping pong to make it seem like there's big moving and shaking deals. The scriptures say, because of unrighteous dealings, this is Sirach 10 and 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten by deceit. For you to sit here and charge somebody interest on a home for 30 years, and for the first 15 years, they're paying nothing but interest. Right? That is fucking deceit. That is fucking wickedness. It's evil as hell. Because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches gotten by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And this is why this place is going down. And we see it all happening. So, this is what's happening globally, man. Lord willing, this is edified. I'm gonna say it's not the housing bubble. 2008 was a housing bubble. This is the everything bubble. There's bubbles everywhere getting ready to pop. But Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm gonna say, call Allah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Kakara Shalom.